this is the second day, obviously, of a symposium that I think has been really quite inspiring to me. There has been a depth to this conversation which is, I think, reflective of an appetite for us to grapple with some of the core issues that we are confronting as a community and some of the things that define us as a profession. And that, in and of itself, I think, is, as I say, it is inspiring to me personally. It's inspiring of the vibrancy of this group. It's inspiring in the sense that I think we are grappling with things that matter. And that's to the strength of us as an institution and the future of this body. I want to start by saying, though, that we are gathered on the traditional unceded territory of the Algonquin Anishinaabe people. And the importance of statements like this link us back to the discussions we've been having. Values and ethics are rooted in the respect for people. And respect for people is rooted in the work that we are doing towards reconciliation. So wherever you are today, whether it's in the National Capital Region or across Canada or abroad, I encourage you to learn the history of the area you find yourselves and to learn from the Indigenous peoples. As has been evident from the conversations we've been having, we learn enormously from those around us. About a year ago, we launched this dialogue on values and ethics, et j'ai été frappé par l'impression avec lequel les fonctionnaires ont entamé ce dialogue. J'ai bien aimé discuter avec des fonctionnaires à tous les niveaux et obtenir une nouvelle perspective sur ce que nous faisons au nom des Canadiens. Many of the conversations have really centered around the theme of what it is to be a public servant. You're all going to have different answers to that question based on your own experiences, the job you do, the institution you serve, and the way that you serve Canadians. For my own part, the service of democracy is one of the most inspiring aspects of the work that we perform together. We are a central pillar of our democratic system, and the democratic system is a central pillar of our society. So we make a very direct contribution to something that is really fundamental to the society that we serve. And I want every public servant across our organization to feel proud, not just of their individual achievements or the achievements of their team or department, but in being a public servant. And I must say, I found it enormously gratifying to watch the words flash up on the screen earlier. Service should be enormously prominent, as should be pride. And I hope this conversation reinforces that pride in who we are. Notre travail est essentiel pour notre démocratie, et il l'est aussi pour notre pays et pour les Canadiens. Nous défendons l'intégrité et la crédibilité du système, et nous respectons la volonté démocratique des Canadiens. C'est un rôle à jouer de plus important. Each of us is part of something bigger. For me, that realization crystallized very early on in my career. As a newly minted lawyer, I was given an opportunity in 1995 to play a role in a dispute that we were having with Spain on our East Coast fisheries. And that dispute found its way in front of the International Court of Justice, and I was part of a small team that was asked to present our defense in that context. And I realized, as I was working on our presentation of Canada's case, that this really wasn't about me. It was about Canada. The consequences that we would have as a result of our success or failure would be felt by our country. It would relate to our waters and our relationship with an ally. Work I was doing really wasn't about me, it was about our country. And that same feeling has followed me throughout my career. As I was given the responsibility of being a deputy minister and leading an institution of public servants who impressed me daily with the quality of the work they did and their commitment and the depth of their expertise. It's followed me when I've had the opportunity to travel with prime ministers to areas near conflict zones, where you see our people in uniform who serve and sacrifice for the ideals that our country holds dear. Nous faisons tous partie de quelque chose de plus grand. lorsqu'un Canadien demande de l'aide pour remplir sa déclaration de revenus, s'il s'inscrit à des programmes en ligne ou qu'il passe la douane. L'expérience qu'il vit façonne sa perception de la fonction publique et du gouvernement. Le fonctionnaire qui travaille dans un centre d'appel, qui crée des contenus web, qui examine des demandes ou qui définit des conditions d'admissibilité à un programme, fait partie de quelque chose de plus grand. Et les travailleurs en contact avec le public ne sont pas les seuls concernés. Toutes les personnes qui travaillent dans l'ombre pour épauler nos institutions, je pense entre autres aux ressources humaines, à l'administration, à la technologie de l'information, participent de notre réussite. When public servants at every level deliver excellence and demonstrate integrity and exercise sound stewardship of the taxpayer dollars, that builds trust and confidence. It's not just what we do, it's how we do it. And as we face an operating environment that's ever-changing and increasingly complex, these conversations about how we do our work, how we embrace our core values, how we adapt to continue to deliver excellence in the future are essential. So, how should we proceed? Well, guided by shared purpose with a strong understanding of who we are as an organization. And that's what our Code of Values and Ethics provides. A professional, nonpartisan public service is an essential part of our democracy. We provide the government with options and then put the government's decisions into practice in the service of Canada. Our advice is based on science, evidence, knowledge, and experience. We are honest and forthright about challenges and provide solid options to address them. Ultimately, it's up to ministers to make decisions on behalf of our country. And whatever our personal beliefs, we have a professional duty to support our democracy by serving our clients, the government, and Canadians to the best of our ability. We do this with courage, with candor, with transparency and openness, and with respect. I talked about respect earlier, how it is a big part of reconciliation, learning and listening to Indigenous peoples, respecting their knowledge, their stories, their identities, and their experiences. As we discussed yesterday afternoon, we also bring our values to life by making meaningful progress on the call to action on anti-racism, equity, and inclusion, and by making our workplaces accessible to all, by promoting a healthy culture. Our ability to innovate and solve problems comes from teamwork, which happens when people feel valued and included. Nous devons avoir des conversations franches sur la santé mentale, les espaces de travail sûrs, et aussi rechercher les points de vue divergents, y réfléchir et communiquer les décisions prises et le pourquoi. Nous devons également faire preuve d'agilité et de résilience face au changement. La réalité de notre travail et du monde dans lequel nous vivons est que le changement est constant. Que ce changement soit aussi mondial qu'une pandémie, aussi local qu'un changement de priorité. Il faut l'accepter et se donner les moyens de réussir. Il y a bien de choses auxquelles nous pouvons nous préparer. Nous pouvons analyser les tendances et prévoir différents scénarios dans 1 an ou dans 5 ans. We need to be comfortable with the unknown unknowns. There will always be surprises, and it's up to us to respond effectively. We've seen extraordinary examples of this, including our responses during the COVID pandemic and to the wildfires across the country. Manage risks, adapt to new circumstances, and make the most of opportunities to innovate. Now, we know that there is a fixed election date in October of 2025, As a professional and nonpartisan public service, we support democracy and carry out the business of government. For those of you who have joined the public service in recent years, you will not have had the experience of our role during the electoral period, and I strongly encourage leaders across our system to discuss that role during the election time. And I encourage us all to embrace our role. The public service offers continuity for Canadians and for the duly elected government. It is the strength of our system. Now, in all we do, we must strive for excellence. And achieving excellence is no easy feat. We are, after all, only human. Sometimes we can feel like we're hitting roadblocks. And it can be hard if our advice doesn't make it to the final cut. But take this to heart. Our service matters. Our work matters. At every level and in every part of the country. Ultimately, I hope you come to see yourselves as I see you. Part of an essential whole, contributing to an organization that has great meaning and profound purpose. Une organisation dont les principes fondamentaux ont résisté à la preuve du temps. Une organisation qui continuera d'évoluer pour répondre aux besoins des Canadiens d'aujourd'hui et de demain. C'est pourquoi cette conférence a autant d'importance. C'est pourquoi il importe de poursuivre le dialogue après la conférence. Nous voulons que les fonctionnaires sortent de cette conférence mieux outillés pour relever les défis de l'avenir. Now, as we look at what comes next, I think there's some key areas we can provide new direction that'll make a real difference. This afternoon's panel is going to be a discussion on guidelines for how we responsibly use artificial intelligence in our work. It's also been very clear over the course of the conversations we've had in the last year that guidance with respect to the use of social media would be welcome and important. Yesterday, we heard of the work that TBS has initiated in this regard, and I'm grateful for that because I think it provides a really sound foundation. But it also requires further development and discussion given the evolution of social media on a minute-by-minute basis. So I've asked Deputy Clerk Fox to continue these efforts, working closely with Jackie Bogdan, the Chief Human Resources Officer, to continue this dialogue and to refine the social media guidance by the spring of next year in a way that will reflect national and international best practices. Similarly, we don't want to lose the accomplishments we've had to date on our conversations on values and ethics, and I've asked Taiki Sarantakis, president of the school, to establish a permanent values and ethics visiting scholar, which will be operational by 2025. And it'll be named after my friend and former mentor, Ian Shugart, who was an inspirational colleague and mentor, former clerk of the Privy Council and senator, who loved this country. He epitomized what we aspire to as public servants, committed to excellence, and serving the public, and supporting democracy with integrity, openness, and respect. Taiki will provide some further details on this, but broadly speaking, the new role will be an annual rotating appointment with the scholar focusing on the development and implementation of values and ethics courses, research on ethics and governance, promoting the importance of ethical leadership, and ensuring diversity, equity, and inclusion are fully integrated in our values of excellence, integrity, stewardship, respect for democracy, and respect for people. Enfin, j'invite les sous-ministres à poursuivre l'élan que nous avons pris, en concentrant les efforts au sein de leur organisation sur les points suivants. Mettre à jour le code de conduite organisationnelle, préparer un rapport ministériel de divulgation d'actes répréhensibles et de mauvaise conduite, demander aux employés de soumettre chaque année des attestations en matière de conflit d'intérêts et intégrer la responsabilité conséquente des progrès réalisés dans la mise en œuvre de l'appel à l'action. We are together the public service. We are the public service at this moment in time in the history of our country, all of us. We have a responsibility in that regard to live up to the values of our organization. We have a responsibility to our society to serve to the best of our ability We have a responsibility to hold ourselves to high standards. It's a very high calling. It's a critical role that we play. I'm deeply proud of this institution, and I really look forward to continuing this conversation in this format and going forward. And I look forward to the panel we're going to have right now. And I want to thank you all for participating in today's event. Thank you, Miigwech. Merci.